Justice brings you
Top of the morning from beautiful downtown Boston.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Top of the Morning Show. I'm your host, Jerry Getka. We're here this morning on the deck of the U.S. Constellation in the beautiful Inner Harbor. You can hear the sounds of the city going by around us. You'll, in the middle of the show, I'm sure hear lots of the sounds of people touring the ship as well as all the people in the Inner Harbor down here. It's a shame we don't have smell-o-vision because our guests today are from the Howard Peters Rawlings Conservatory. We'll be right back. Back everybody. I'm Jerry Getka, your host for Top of the Morning. Our guest today, on my right, Kate Blum from the Rawlings Conservatory.
The Howard Peters Rawlings
Howard
Conservatory.
Peters Rawlings Conservatory, Baltimore. And on my left is Pat Yebiks, who's the president of the Baltimore Conservatories Association.
Thank you.
I got that one right?
You got it right.
How about that?
That was
All right. I want to talk to Kate first. Kate, tell us a little bit more about the Howard P. Rawlings Conservatory and what you do there.
Well, it wasn't always the Howard P. Rawlings Conservatory. Actually, it was the Baltimore
Belonged to his wife
Conservatory.
first, is that it?
No, it was the Baltimore Conservatory, and it was born, if you will, in 1887. They completed the construction in 1888, which makes
it pretty old.
Makes it pretty old, and we're celebrating 125 years this year.
Wow.
With a lot of activities and a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, a lot of activities. Tell us about the activities.
Well, we started the year with a kickoff to launch us into the 125th. And
Now, did that coincide with football season?
It was, well, depending on where you sit, more exciting maybe. Maybe not. I don't know.
You were telling me about the kickoff.
Okay, well, we had a wonderful kickoff in January, January 23rd, on a very cold January 23rd night. And over almost 250 people came.
I hope they were indoors.
They were indoors, and there was a lot of heat going on. And
sounds like another story.
We had great. It is. We had great food. We had jazz, and we had some wonderful people like Tom Hall, who emceed. He's from YPR, and he emceed.
And Pat, were you there as well?
I was actually the chair of the event with Nancy Hall and Nancy Raskin, rather. And it was a great
Your turn
event.
to correct her.
It was a great event. And the conservatory at night is magical. There's just no question about it. It does.
I assume you were
sparkles.
both all dressed up in your sparkling gowns and.
No. It was much more informal than that. It was this was much more informal. The whole purpose of it was to get the word out about the conservatory and our 125th anniversary. And it was invitation only.
No wonder I wasn't there.
So we were very happy to get the number of people we did, like Kate said, on such a cold evening. And so we got a lot of good press from it as well.
Was it successful in terms of fundraising as well?
It was. When we set out to do the 125th, our major goal, of course, was to raise the necessary funds, but the major goal was to raise awareness.
Okay.
And that's really what we've been doing all year long.
Is this a membership type organization where people can join? Like,
Well, the Conservatory in and of itself is not a membership association.
Okay.
That's what the Baltimore Conservatory Association does. We're the membership association, the nonprofit that sort of supports the activities of the Rawlings Conservatory with education, fundraising. So we really work in tandem and partnership.
I'm sorry.
We get to do things that they can't do.
I really have to ask, what is the mission of the Rawlings Conservatory?
The basic mission is to raise awareness about the plants of the world
Oh,
and
okay.
how important and critical they are to the survival of the world. So we grow plants in our conservatory that you can't
So that's
grow
why it was so
all over.
warm at the event. Okay. All the heat.
We have a tropical house. And rarely are we without bananas coming on and papayas and things like that. So yes, we can show the citizens of Baltimore and people of the Mid-Atlantic things that they can't see outside.
So people
Maryland,
come and
New
visit the
Jersey.
conservatory to see these various plants and
They
whatnot.
do.
What's the mission?
We are owned and operated by Baltimore City.
Okay.
So we don't charge an admission, but we beg for a $5 donation. And I literally use
Can
that
we see
word.
that? Can we
Yes.
see that?
And I use that word because I'm a volunteer there as well, sometimes on Sunday morning as a greeter, and we do beg people to put the $5, give us $5, and many people do and more, but it's not required.
Where are you located?
In Druid Hill Park. And,
Okay, that's quite a ways from where we are down here at the Inner Harbor.
Well, it's really not. It's really only about 10 minutes up the
Okay.
road. Right. It's amazing. There's a misconception.
It is,
that it's
especially on my
far
part.
away. But years and years ago, when the park was founded in 1860, it was like a summer park way, way out of town, and people would go there and sleep at night on hot nights, and there were a lot of springs. But it's really only 10 minutes away. It's just off 83, exit 7.
So you walk down to here from there?
Well, it's not.
I have run from here up there, so during
And people do bike it.
Right.
Okay.
It's fabulous. It includes part of the Gwynns Falls and Jones Falls trails. So it's also where the Maryland Zoo is.
Well, you told me about your kickoff. Now, I understand you have an event coming up shortly in October.
Yes.
Would you like to say something about that?
Well,
But
yes.
before you do that, I'm going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah, so you're doing it.
Welcome back, everybody. Again, I'm your host, Jerry Getka, for Top of the Morning Show, and we're here on the USS Constellation in the beautiful Baltimore Inner Harbor. And I'm here today with Kate Plum and Pat Yebiks, both talking about the Howard P. Rawlings Conservatory. And I had asked you just before the break about your upcoming event. Why don't you go into that a little bit?
Well, that will be our gala. That'll be the gala for the year. So we will be in our fancy dresses and sparkles.
Right.
and-
Can I come see that?
You
Yes,
may.
and
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Please, you need to
may.
send me an invitation.
I will do. You got it. It'll be on October 5th, an evening event. Watson Caterers will be catering. We'll have the Swinging Swamis, another magical evening at the conservatory with, we're actually going to have some very special lighting effects just to beef it up and make it more magical
Okay.
than it's ever been before. With
Special
music,
lighting, music,
music, candles, great food, great company, dancing, and
smoke effects.
No, but
Fogger?
perhaps some sound effects.
We have some sound effects.
Sound effects
Okay.
coming, and the jungle, in our tropical house. It can be pretty cool. So a silent auction too, and wonderful, wonderful items are coming in for the silent auction.
Now, did you have to have something to do with the items coming in for the silent auction?
I donated one.
Okay.
I'm not in charge of this particular project. That's Karen Offit, and her committee is doing a fabulous job. And we're really looking forward to this. We just sent out our mailed invitations, which were just gorgeous.
Okay.
And our email invitations just went out this morning. I received mine in my email, and we're starting to get them in. We'll take it by check, credit card, money order, cash,
And what's
PayPal.
What's your capacity for this event?
250 people.
250. So if you want a ticket, you better hurry up and buy it because it'll be filled up very shortly.
We are selling tickets. The sales have been brisk. So
And the sales
we're very
information in
excited.
terms of where to call and who to ask for will be running across the bottom of the screen, but why don't you give it to them just in case?
Check in at our website, www.rawlingsconservatory.org.
And Rawlings is spelled?
Rawlings.
Okay.
And even if you don't get the opportunity to come to the gala, which we of course want you to do, just come out to the conservatory. I think that once you come out there, you'll just be blown away. That's how I got started 4 years ago. I went to one of the special events, and I signed up to be a volunteer that day. And I've been volunteering more and more every year.
Now, if I were coming to the conservatory for the very first time, what would you suggest I see? Start? Where do I start? Where do I go?
The conservatory is not huge, and so the truth of the matter is, you'll come in. We have two of the original buildings from 1889. We're the second oldest glass conservatory in the country, behind the one in San Francisco.
Wow.
And you could start in that portion of it. We have a gorgeous orchid room. Actually, one of the most beautiful orchid rooms I've ever seen, and I've seen conservatories all over the world.
And you give out samples that we can take home?
Not those. Not those. Those you cannot get a sample of. We do sell different things at different times, but not the orchids. And then we have three additional houses. We have the Mediterranean house, we have the tropical house, and we have the desert house, which is my favorite.
Now, wait a minute. The desert house?
Oh, it's fabulous.
And that's your favorite?
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic.
What makes it so fabulous and fantastic?
For me, I think it's different for everybody, but for me, it's the kind of plant material that's exhibited, and the fact that these plants grow in some of the harshest environments in the world. And
Like maybe my house?
certainly mine. And they have developed and evolved over time different types of survival techniques, like the spines and the cactus and the different root systems. And some of them are just massive. And at the same time, there's a stillness in the desert house. It's beautiful. It's probably one of the most powerfully designed in the way that it has boulders from the Painted Desert in Utah.
Okay.
In that area, sandstone boulders and flagstone from Arizona. And it's just got a sense of, it's
What does it have from New
peaceful.
Mexico?
New Mexico, it has agaves.
Okay.
Which is a source of tequila. So there are a lot
I know
of
where I'm going
things.
first. I know where I'm going first.
But it's very beautiful. But there's just so much to see and so much to do and so many ways of getting people to
Can you do it
connect.
all in one day, or
Oh,
does it take
absolutely.
more? Okay.
Absolutely. You could do it one afternoon. It's just beautiful. We encourage people to take their time. If you come in the winter, obviously our outdoor gardens aren't in bloom, but if you come at this time of the year, we also have outdoor gardens, which are just gorgeous this time of year. We also had the luxury in July of having a croquet event, something we had not done we had never done, now that I think about it. And it was just a fabulous event. We had 200 people playing croquet, and
That must be a fairly large space. If you
it is
get
a
that many
very large
people playing
space.
croquet.
Right.
Well, we had a tournament.
We had a tournament.
So we had 5 courses going.
So what's next year? Polo?
No, actually, the Baltimore, the Baltimore Croquet Club was so thrilled with the turnout that we're hoping to make this an annual event. We've got a lot of young people coming to the conservatory, which is important for us,
Okay.
and actually a whole new group of people who had never even been to the park, let alone to the conservatory. So.
But you're not going to forget the seniors.
Oh, no. We had an enormous number of an enormously diverse crowd.
Now, for those of you, if you're having trouble hearing us at the moment, again, we're on the USS Constellation in the middle of the Inner Harbor, and what you hear in the background at the moment are the boats, warming up to take off from the Inner Harbor from their slips, and you'll hear noise of people touring the ship and that sort of things. All right, aside from all of the events and the desert, which I'll have to come see,
Yes.
you also do a lot of education programs. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have a lot of outreach to Baltimore City schools, to their science teachers. Glenda Weber, who is our naturalist, is creating programs consistent with the different elementary grades. And so we're getting more and more numbers of students coming to the conservatory again, which is wonderful. They're coming back in great numbers. Every Sunday, we have a program called Plants and People. And
Okay.
the the first Sunday of the month, we feature a master gardener who comes in and basically answers questions, and will go with a particular theme like water issues or something like that. And we'll pick some large general themes, and then the programs throughout the month will mirror and talk about those subjects, those bigger subjects.
You used a term that sounded interesting to me. I mean, naturalist. In the context that you used it, what actually is a naturalist?
Kay would be much
That's why I asked you.
Kay would be much better at
Naturalist
describing
is one
that
who
detail.
studies and tries to understand the natural world.
Okay.
Okay. So she's also our resident tree expert. She our insect person, our go-to person on weeds, all kinds of things. She's
Highly
great.
specialized
Yes.
Okay.
and educated.
So the Plants and People program, to kind of also come back to what you were saying with different groups, targets different groups. We have a week, it's always Sundays 1:30 to 3:30, and we have one Sunday targeting gardeners, and one Sunday is targeting middle-aged students, and one smaller,
Is there a
kids.
schedule of which ones are when and that sort of thing?
we
And where
have
would we
that.
find that?
That would also be available on our website.
On the website.
And if you came to visit, we have a sheet that we distribute when people come to visit. And on the fifth Sunday, whenever there's a fifth Sunday, we give tours, just
Okay.
planned tours, and I actually give tours. But anybody wants a tour, just let us know, and I'll be happy to spend as much time as you want. So if you want to come,
So if I want to come
will
at
give
3
you a
a.m.
card.
Tuesday morning.
Yeah, we're only open. Yeah, we're only open from Wednesday through Sunday, 10 to 4.
That's a good thing to know.
But we do offer tours.
We do offer tours.
During any of those times. We have
Okay.
a guide program, and you can come, you can sign up for a tour, and we will give you a tour.
Now, do you have a program with the Baltimore City Schools that they come in for tours on a regular
They
basis? and
have,
so
not
on?
on a, yes, not
Okay.
on a regular day of the week or anything like that.
What grades do you?
All grades. The Enchanted Forest was part of our spring display, part of our special. That is a whole nother area where we have major flower
Events.
shows during the year. And the conservatories have done this for hundreds of years, probably, where they have a spring show featuring bulbs that we forest. We have many times a mum show featuring large exotic football mums.
Didn't Baltimore City used to have a flower show of some kind
We still
annually?
do.
And
We have the
They
flower
still do?
mart in May. We
Okay.
still have the flower mart around Mount
are you
Vernon.
involved in that as well? Or?
I'm not.
All right,
No,
I'm
we
sorry.
haven't been involved in it for
All
a
right.
couple of years. But we
Um,
have a huge holiday display. We have hundreds and hundreds of poinsettias on display. Many, many different kinds and varieties. Very special.
Very special. And in fact, this past spring with our bulb display, we were fortunate enough to get some of the pieces from the old Enchanted Forest on Route 40, which was a really fun event. And it's designed both for children and adults, because a lot of people came and recognized a lot of the pieces that they had seen in their childhood going back to the 50s. Some of the pieces were just amazing and quite fragile. So we were thrilled to get that and put that on our display. And if you've never been there, coming for our holiday displays and our spring display will just take your breath away.
We plan them around different themes. And so we've had Peter Pan, and we've had Alice in Wonderland, and, we're having this year to celebrate our 125th, the Victorian holiday, which will open on December 6th.
Victorian
I think.
holiday.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good place to take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back again, everybody. Jerry Getka, your host for Top of the Morning. And as you can tell, we're outside on the deck of the U.S. Constellation in Baltimore's Inner Harbor. I'm here with Kate Blum and Pat Yevix. I got that right.
Right, you did get it right.
And what do you think? We've had a beautiful morning out here in the open air.
This is amazing. I highly recommend, especially for people, I'm assuming most of the people watching this are fairly local, take advantage of coming and seeing all the things you would go see if you were on vacation. If you haven't been down to the Constellation, it's just glorious here, and the weather is glorious. Same with the Rawlings Conservatory. We get that comment all the time. I've lived in Baltimore for 25 years and I've never been here. So, you know what?
So we'll have to correct that.
Right. So treat your own city and your own area like you're a tourist, and come on down to see the Constellation, and the Flag House, and the Rawlings Conservatory in Druid Hill Park, and all the other cool places in Baltimore.
And we're plenty safe here from the rain and all the bad weather because Lou brought his umbrella today, so we're fine. How about you, Kate? What did you think of this?
Oh, well, it's a thrill. It's a thrill to be here. And Pat, well said. I lived in Washington, D.C. for a while, and right before I moved back to Baltimore, I started going to all the places that I'd wanted to go to, and I was like, this is crazy. I'm here. I've been here. I've been here for 15 years. So what a thrill to see them raise the flag this morning, and they're raising the colors now, and to be here on this gorgeous, gorgeous morning with you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, you mentioned that the conservatory was founded in the 1800s. Tell us more about the history of the park and the conservatory.
Okay, well, it's a great, great park. It was founded in 1860 by Thomas Swan, which was just prior to the Civil War. And there were a lot of, Frederick Law Olmsted was running around the country encouraging municipalities to set aside green spaces. And so Baltimore heeded that message and started purchasing land and gathering land for public green spaces. The war came about, obviously, the Civil War, and Druid Hill Park was used as a fort to hold troops from Massachusetts and from New York, from Pennsylvania, and Maryland as a transitional, I forget the exact word, but they were stationed there before being deployed to other areas and to other battles. The land was set aside for the conservatory in the 1870s, but it wasn't until the 1880s before funds were raised with enough success to go ahead and begin construction of the conservatory in 1887. They knew exactly where in the park they were going to put this wonderful palm house. Now, the great urban parks movement was going full blast, and that was led by Frederick Law Olmsted. And so to have a conservatory in your city was a status symbol. Many of the old cities and so forth all over our country had at one time conservatories. A few of them still do. Well, Baltimore is very lucky to have one. But Baltimore at one point had 5 of them.
And 4 of them are gone.
Wow.
So that's why it's so critical to make sure that we save this facility.
We were well aware for a long time of one in Carroll Park, Patterson Park, Clifton Park, and Druid Hill Park. We actually found another one about 2 years ago when we were doing research in Harlem Park. And so the others have gone away largely because they're extraordinarily expensive treasures to maintain.
So send money.
Please.
So it is, and in times where we're going through all these budget cuts and very difficult economic situations for a lot of people, yes, police and fire and schools are more important, and I get that, but history is not free.
Does the majority of your funding come from public or private funding?
The city, actually, the majority of our funding right now comes from the city of Baltimore.
But it's the goal of the Baltimore Conservatory Association, because we're trying to reestablish it more vigorously, to start to develop a plan to raise money to help offset some of the expenses that they have. So that's going to be our goal over the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Okay.
Which is what has happened in a lot of major cities because they were losing their conservatories.
Well, you said a lot of cities had conservatories, but very few do now. What are the cities that do now? I mean, how many? I mean, give me a figure or something to
the
compare
oldest
with.
is in San Francisco. And I was just actually out there for a conference and went to see it's a Conservatory of Flowers in Druid Hill, in Golden Gate Park, which is another amazing setting. And
I think I've actually been there.
It's an amazing facility, but I will tell you, I think ours is just as impressive. They have the luxury, obviously, of being able to have their desert outside, which we obviously don't have the luxury of. And so most of their indoor is tropical. So I think that ours is more diverse in terms of the plants that we have. So I think you can see a much more diverse variety of plants at ours than you can in a lot of other conservatories.
Is there anything else that we haven't talked about the conservatory that you'd like to say at this time? Because we're getting ready to close up, so we'll give you a few more minutes here to just tell us your last thoughts.
Well, the one thing that I would recommend and one thing that I would try to get out to people is the conservatory, as well as the Baltimore Conservatory Association, are looking for volunteers. And you don't need to have lots and lots of time. If you have an hour a week, we have something for you to do. You can work from your home. We're looking for all kinds of things. I have a full-time job, and yet I still spend a lot of time working at the conservatory at different times. So we are looking for all kinds of people with all kinds of skills.
Well, that's because you're committed.
Or
maybe you should be. I don't know.
But you cannot find a nicer, more relaxing, more magical place to spend an hour or two. It's just amazing. And if you come, you'll fall in love.
Okay. Kate, how about you?
Well, to add to what Pat just said about needing volunteers, we do need volunteers in every kind of aspect. The people who come
What are some of the things they would be doing if they volunteer?
Well, there are hands-on things to do, and working in the garden.
And you can hear some of the parents talking to their children in the background.
There are a number of administrative types of things. We're building the Baltimore Conservatory Association, rebuilding the Baltimore Conservatory Association. There's a lot of help that we need in making that a top-notch fundraising development, number of things like that.
Social media, websites. We need
Website
people,
development, lots of things.
all kinds of help. We need people who can just spend an hour or so from 10 to 4 just greeting people. You don't have to know a lot about plants. We'll teach you everything we know. One of the most amazing things that I love about the conservatory is, and one of the reasons beyond just the love of it, continue to be a volunteer, is how peaceful it is. You cannot have a bad day at the Rawlings Conservatory. You could come in a bad mood, but you will not leave in a bad mood.
I might have to test that theory one of these days.
You just cannot. And I'm going to tell you, one of the most gorgeous times to come to the conservatory is when it's cold and rainy and dreary outside, and the med house is in bloom, and the herbs are blooming, and the aroma is just, it's magical. And it absolutely calms you down.
Now, when I think of plants like that, I think of birds and butterflies. Do you have that sort of thing in there? Or, I guess you do on the outside.
We do on the outside, and when we open our windows, the birds and the butterflies come in.
That's true. And I worry a little bit when the birds come in, but the butterflies I'm very happy about. But I want to add that it's not just the place that's magical, but it attracts a lot of magical people. And like Pat and many of the volunteers who have come, I've always felt so
fairies
blessed
and
that I'm
leprechauns,
surrounded, and it gives magical people a chance to interact with each other. So it's a good place. It's
We have people
a
who
great
come
place.
every Sunday. They just
Yeah.
bring their kids every Sunday. We have a fish pond.
Okay.
And they come every Sunday. They know exactly where to go to get the fish food. And they feed those fish. And if they're lucky, the turtle will come up, the tortoise will come up. And we have children who come in from the park every single Sunday. And they're just a delight. And it's a great place to come. And we get people from all over the world. I've been there on Sundays. We've had people who worked at the Conservatory in Paris who wanted to come. And we get people from all over the world who read about it and come up. So people in Baltimore should come.
Well, it sounds like Baltimore's the place for the conservatory to be, because if you're looking for magical people, you're going to find lots of them in Baltimore, that's for sure. Well, I want to thank you both for sitting with us and telling us all about the Howard P. Rawlings Conservatory.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're just going to say goodbye to our goodbye to our audience now. So say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Come to
Thanks for coming.
Conservatory.
Thanks for watching. That was very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
And we-
thank